And we are recording, so if you want to call to order and get going, we can start.
Yep, we will call the December 1st meeting to order. The first item on the agenda is public input. Anyone there at Centennial or via Zoom that has a
There
comment?
is no public input, no one in attendance, and no emails were ahead of time. And just so everyone knows who is on the current call, obviously yourself, Dan, Dave, and Ron. As board members, Wendy's on, Jill is on, Dustin, and Ken Schoon is coming on right now.
Aha, probably good for housekeeping there to say that we have enough people present to make a quorum.
Yes.
Should I wait for Ken? I'll wait for Ken.
I'm here.
Ken is on.
Oh, Ken is on. Welcome. And Wendy, I promise I'll sign all those documents here soon. I apologize. It's all my fault. Next item is approval of park board minutes. Anyone have any issues with the minutes?
I move we approve them.
Second.
It's been approved by Dave. Seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Minutes approved, 3 in favor, 0 against. Next item is the vouchers. We have 3 of them. One of them a little bit more sizable than the other 2. Any questions or discussion?
None here.
Nope, none here.
Okay, seeing none here both ways. Who would like to make the motion?
I'll move we approve the vouchers.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Approved, 3, no objections, and a few absent. Next item. Whoops, boy, I really got myself lost. I went the wrong way here on my agenda. The next item is consideration of resolution 2020-03, which would amend the Schedule A park program fees and charges. Anyone want to hit that one?
Mr. President, I will just highlight, this is our kind of seasonal. We're getting ready with the next brochure to be coming out with all of our winter, spring activities. So this includes all of the various fees that are within that. Bringing it to you today, seeking your approval.
Any questions from the board?
None.
None
I
here.
have none. Okay, seeing no others, I need a motion.
I move we pass resolution 2020-3.
Second.
It's been moved by Dave, seconded by Ron, that we approve 2020-03. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So ayes have it, 3 in favor, 0 against, and a couple absent. We will go to park rules, and I know there was some discussion and email, some exchanges. I am not an attorney, and I'm going to step back, and you guys can all have a great discussion on park rules. So I'll let Mark start since it was his memo, and then if anyone else wants to join in the discussion, I'm just going to sun myself over here.
Okay.
Thank you. I did get some input from various folks over, I guess, since I've been here, and just wanted to clarify and make sure that we have the right rules on the books, if you will, and that when the general public, and myself included in that, looks up on our town code online, there's very minimal rules that are listed in the park and recreation section. It does, as Dave Servant pointed out, it does refer to an old version, and I think we should try to make sure to do whatever we need to do to bring that up to date. So if someone looks it up, and it can be found a lot easier, and also defended by the town when our attorneys are doing their magic as far as enforcing violations and, referencing particular town code as violations are written and so forth. With that in mind, I think the memo that I put together for you was kind of a summary of areas that I thought were missing and something that of course, I typed that before Dave shared the old section 19. So I wanted to make sure that you guys are aware of that. But I do think that old section does cover a lot of the areas that I think I was referring at. But I think that there are some that we probably do want to have some current updating to and discussion about. So I'd like to kind of get any input from you. I think the biggest one that I received from a town council member was the request that we prohibit grilling at all in all of our parks, which is in the memo that I gave you is one of the rules that would be on there. Last year, the shelter rentals, including Centennial Park, only had 6. We asked them how many are going to grill when they do their shelter reservation. We only had 6 such reservations when that occurred. So
yeah, just give me a call. Yeah, because I'll be
Okay.
working on some stuff, so we'll be there. I'll be there all after.
There we go.
Sorry, Andrew was on the call on his phone and I just muted him, so talking in the background. But I think that the Centennial, when they have shelter reservations out here, they do not track how many grilling requests that come through. That's not something that they've ever asked for before, so we don't have a good number from that perspective. But I think it's something that it makes it a little bit easier on our police department and talking to them that when they see a grill in the park, it's just they know that's against the rules if you were choose to make that a formal rule for us. So with that, I guess I kind of throw it out there for you just to get your input and to try to put something together where we can put this into a resolution form in the future and send it on to council so it can all officially be codified.
I know that one of the main problems about grilling was the fact that people were grilling in inappropriate places. Some people grilled in the parking lots, and then when they were finished, before they would leave, they would dump the coals onto the asphalt and pick up their car and leave.
Right.
I could see if, and I don't think anybody had objections to grilling in proper places, especially if they had made a reservation for it. But we might want to consider something where if you were going to grill, you put a deposit down, an extra $15 or something for cleanup. And then if you cleaned it up yourself and there was no difficulty, you got that money back. We might not deposit that. I remember with the State Board of Accounts, it's sometimes difficult to write a check to refund it, but we might ask for a special check we just held and then return the check uncashed if there were no problems. But if you didn't have a permit, you couldn't grill. So when the cops peruse the Centennial Park or Community Park and they see people grilling, they can ask for a copy of the permit. And if there is no copy of the permit and they don't have one, then they shut them down.
Now, is there certain spots that are supposed to grill, correct? You know, like under a shelter or something like that. And if they violate something like that, should they then be fined if a police officer knows where they're supposed to be and they don't? Or is this strictly a safety issue that we want to have it across the board? No grilling. I'm fine either way, but I'm just saying if we do have grilling, it should be designated places. So when a police officer comes by and they're not grilling in the right place, you could fine them right then, whatever the wishes are, that's my thoughts,
Well, I think we need to define where drilling is appropriate, and that should be available to people on our website.
We don't have any grills in our parks, right? And any, they
Correct.
gotta bring your own grill if you're gonna grill.
Correct.
my personal preference and for the ease of the police department, as opposed to, I mean, they've got a tough enough job as it is. I would personally say you don't grill in there, just because it's just going to be easier for a police officer to know, hey, look, uniformly, there's no grilling in parks. We know this, as opposed to stopping, because even if they are grilling and I may not stop because I have other things to do, and then they dump them in the, say, plastic garbage can that's sitting there attached to the pavilion, then I've got a bigger problem on my hands, because that pavilion's probably going to come down. So
Yeah.
that's just my personal preference, but I think you make it easy for the people that are trying to enforce it, because I'll guarantee you, of the 6 people that reserved for quote grilling, I imagine there were a whole lot more people that reserved than that actually did grill, that didn't just tell you about it.
Right.
And I think it's also, we're also looking at it from the perspective of those honest people who actually said they were going to grill, not just the people who show up and say, oh, no one's using the shelter, or called our office on Thursday, or called Centennial's office on Thursday to find out there was no shelter rental this weekend, or that it was available. They just have their own rogue picnic and kind of do what they want. And I think you're right that the comments from the police is right now, any type of enforcement where they're getting immediately second guessed by when they're asked to, show information, to show permits, to show any type of, who has the official permissions to be in a particular location, just kind of leads to conflict right now in the situations that we have.
I think if we do go in that route, that should be bolded, because the past practice was people were doing it. I think it should be a bold in the agreement, and I think maybe the police officers maybe should be giving a blank one to see, so that when they go up to an individual, hey, you signed this. I know
Right.
everyone that's here signed this, and this is bold, so we don't escalate anything. That's my thoughts.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. I'm not opposed to people grilling either. But, it does make it a lot easier just to say you can't. But if we are going to allow them to do it, I think that we ought to make them pay more than $15 deposit. 50 or something like that, maybe. But
the other worry that's on it as well is that, when there all of a sudden there is a little bit, bad weather outside, a lot of times, the shelter now, you may designate an area that's outside of the shelter, not underneath the roof of a shelter to be grilling. And well, it's raining that day and we're still having our picnic and they pull the grill in underneath. I know that that's never a good situation. And I've been in communities where we've had damage done to shelters or walls or burn marks and from grills that have gotten a little bit out of control that way. So I mean, that's a situation. And I think more often than not, you've seen a change over the years. You can picture how many parks used to have those permanent grills that were in these parks. We don't have them anymore. They're not there because the demand's not there anymore for them. And if someone really wants to grill, I think if you put it into the rules, at that point, if someone really is adamant that they want to grill, let them come back before the park board and ask for that special permission at that point, and put them through the rigmarole of having to come and present and request that. And then at that point, we can, specify any, depending on which park it's at, which locations it's at, we can set the special rules up for it at that particular time. I would recommend it from that perspective, at least as grilling goes.
yeah, they have those grills at Wicker, built in, but nobody ever uses them. They bring their own.
Yeah.
And the only thing that I would add to the language, not being an attorney, would be as long as it's acceptable by the park. So if we're having the July 3rd event in Centennial and you have a vendor that is grilling, well, you want to make sure that that's covered in that.
Right.
I think it's unassumed, but I just
That's a
want to
good
make sure
point.
that it's there.
That's a good point.
And surely with things like the Lions steak fry as well, I mean, there's things like that that we would surely want to allow still. And, but again, coordinate that to the point where if they have to come with special permissions, we can, you know, have that granted outside of the realm of all these various different types of rules. So that is one, like I said, that's one of the ones that probably the biggest one that I would recommend as a change. I know in the old section 19 rules that Dave, you forwarded on, it did mention back in the day that the park hours were 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. I would recommend on hours, just because almost every park sign in town has the hours built into it, and it actually says 6 a.m. to dusk. I would, at least on the opening side of things, whenever we get to that point, 6 a.m. I definitely would be the recommendation from my side there. We may look at, you know, closing times in various locations to change that, but at least on some of the neighborhood parks, you can picture the ones at Evergreen, Bluebird, Frank Hammond, at the bottom of the sign, it's routed in there. If we were to change that change of an hour or so would cause some substantial monies to be spent on new park signs, because it's literally routed into the bottom of the park sign that we have that's in the majority of our parks. So.
I agree with the times. My purpose in, you know, sending all that stuff out is really, there's some inconsistencies, you know, we
Right.
just need to clean it up.
Right.
You know, I don't know how many ordinance violations the police write for things having to do with parks, but, you know, it's got to be consistent. So the language has to be cleaned up somehow. We could make our rules kind of going by what you put out there, and ask the town to the board to pass an ordinance saying, you know, whatever our rules are, that, you know, you can find a 1 or 2 sentence language to make that okay, and not to have inconsistencies. That's it. But there are.
And I agree with Dave, you know, the inconsistency, and I want to thank him for our, you know, and no disrespect for Ken, Dave being our historian here. And
Well, Ken's a pretty good historian too, because he's probably got one of those code books too.
Right. But anyway, we have to have it consistent, no question. That's the strong point there.
Well, I would ask them that the rules you see that I can work on those with probably with Attorney Wickland and present that into a formal the right document. Are there any other rules that you see that you want to highlight that maybe that you didn't agree with, or that you had more discussion on?
I couldn't see any. I think to the uniformity and to keeping it cleaned up, because I know there was some back and forth with respect to Centennial. I think just to keep it uniform, to keep it simple, to make it easy for the people, because it's not going to be us that are necessarily enforcing it, not me at least. So it's just going to be easy if everyone knows what the rules are. It doesn't change from park to park.
Right. Okay, well, I will, we don't need to move on anything today. I will take that under advice and work on this and bring something to you in the future here that we can massage and take a review additionally and potentially consider in the future then.
Thank you.
All right, great.
Fair enough. We will move on now to the next item on the agenda, which I've just lost and I'll have to go find again, is the ground maintenance recommendation memo for 2021, which is hopefully a whole lot better year than it is right now. So go ahead, Mark, if you've, I mean,
Yes.
it's in our packet, but you could just surmise that what grounds are they going to be in charge of maintaining?
Right. This is, I had a conversation with Great Lakes Landscape Management. Dino is the owner, the president of that company. They've been taking care of Centennial Park outside of what we do on the golf course, and also at Community Park inside the pool area, as well as within the park there. They have offered an agreement to hold their price at the same price that they had for last year. And last year, it was written into that this could be, if both parties agreed to it, could be extended for 3 additional years. So we are bringing it to you, and we're making a positive recommendation to extend their price and hold their pricing and use them for the 2021 season, as we were very satisfied with their performance as a contractor in 2020.
All right. Is this going to take in a continue? You want to do Centennial different, or you want to just do them all, or?
We can do them all at once. I think there's two proposals. I think we can treat them all at once for both of those agreements.
That's fine.
Okay.
Anybody have any questions or comments?
Nope.
No, as long as you're satisfied with their work,
Yep.
it's fine with me.
I agree.
Okay, so that was a motion by Dave and seconded by Ron that we
That's right.
approve and continue the agreement with Great Lakes. Any other further discussion? You're going to miss me when I'm not president, right, Dave?
No, I'm going to where you're at now.
Oh, are
Hawaii
you?
somewhere.
You're the vice president?
Huh?
You're the
That's what
vice?
That's
Oh,
kind of what
boy.
I remember.
I'm going to drag it on forever then. Seeing any other discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Dave's abstaining or lost contact.
No, I said aye.
Oh, I couldn't hear you. I was the beach, the sand. I couldn't hear anything.
Yeah, right.
So that's 3 in favor and 0 against with 2 absent. Anything else? I mean, there's nothing else on the agenda. I just want to thank Mark and Kevin for, I guess, dealing with my crazy phone calls that I get from people talking about tennis courts and the pickleball courts. I know they're being used. I've seen them. So thanks for putting them up, even though it's December 1st. Believe it or not, there was people out there. So
Right. I think that was a good move.
I know they already put them away, and I appreciate them bringing at least some of them out so that people can do things outside.
Yep, agreed.
Anybody else? Anything else?
No, I move we adjourn.
All right,
Second.
next, moved in second. Next meeting is on the 15th. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
And I promise, Janice, I will be in this afternoon.
Awesome.
I'll be
Do I
signing
have
like
to sign too now?
stuff.
Who's the
All
second?
right, guys.
His office. Okay, take care.
We'll see ya.
See you guys.
See ya.
Bye. Bye.